what is it with boomers just being absolutely just detached from reality? You know, it seems to be a common thread when it comes to boomers. I was just scrolling on TikTok like you do, like everyone seems to do nowadays. I was in this weird, just endless scroll. And I come across this guy, and you got to see it to believe it. It's just, listen to this guy. Just listen to him.
Buy 10 rental houses before you're 30 years old.
What? Just the start of that. Just buy 10 rental houses before you're 30. Gee, why did I think of that? Why was it I that clever to just? Oh, okay, it gets worse. Okay, it just that's what we're getting into. Okay, just the start of this absolutely ridiculous.
If you can buy 10 rental houses before you're 30 and you own those 10 rental houses at the age of 30 and you don't
own, he said if you own the rental houses at the age of 30. 10 properties. Let's see. Average cost of home in United States. We're not even going to look at the expensive areas of the country. We're just where people want to live. You know what I mean? We'll consider everything. All the potato farms, the tornado areas, just, the desolate plains that are freezing, the places people don't want to go to. So okay. The average home price in the United States is $348,000. $348,000. Okay. So let's do the math here. Let's take this big old number and we're going to go to a calculator. It's mind-boggling. Okay. We're going to enter that number. Okay. It's not working. What was it again? 348.79. Okay. So 348.79 times 10 homes. $3.4 million. $3.4 million. Okay. What is the average income of a 30-year-old in United States? Let's just look. Let's see. $45,000. $45,000. That's just nuts. $45,000. Okay? What is the income tax for $45,000? Let's see. $4,700. Okay, so it looks like, let's see, how much do you take home off $45,000? Come on, give me a calculator. Give me income tax calculator. What do we got here? Okay, now I think this is for South Dakota. Okay, whatever. Anyways, you take home $38,000. Okay, it's probably going to vary depending on the state. But let's just say for the sake of argument, you take home $40,000. Let's say the government only takes $5,000 off of your $45,000 a year. Okay, let's say you get $40,000. $40,000, and that's a 30-year-old. So let's go back. So if you look at that's for a 30-year-old making $45,000. So, but you got to work usually from 18 to 30. So that's a 12-year working period. Okay, 12 years. You're telling me that in 12 years, okay, so it's saying, look, the average income at 18 is $6,000 plus 11. Okay, let's just do it. Let's do here. Look, let me bust out my calculator. Let's move up the ranks annually by the average income. Okay, so if we did $6,000 plus 11,515 plus 16,479, this is going to take a while. We'll get back in a second. Plus 20,000. Plus 25, plus 30, plus 35, plus 38, plus 4101, that's a weird number, plus 4202, plus 45123, plus 45003. That's 300. You have made $355,000. That's how much you have earned earned. What? Now, I know some people are going to argue, oh, well, technically, well, the people that you're renting out to are paying off your mortgage and all your property tax, and you just be earning this. You need a down payment, even if you're on an FHA loan, right? For like a first-time buyer with its less than 5% down payment, you need 5% of essentially $350,000, right? Times 0.05. Okay. So you need to save up $17,500 for your first one. How many years of working, when you look at the average age by income, your first 2 years of adulthood, you'll have earned enough for a down payment, but that's it. You'll earn enough on average. But there's taxes and there's cost of living. Your second year, if you just were able to save everything, you still don't have, or your third year, you wouldn't have enough. So we're thinking it's probably, for you to save $17,000, it's probably going to take you at least until like 23 years old. And that's if you have like pretty much no bills and you save everything. You have no life. So your first 5 years in, right? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I guess 6 years in out of 12. So you're halfway through, you barely had enough for a down payment on your first house for the average person, even with an FHA loan. And then in order to get a second FHA loan, I believe you have to have lived in it as your domicile, whatever, for at least 1 year before you're open to getting another one. So now we're 7 years in, and that's assuming out of the seventh year, you can save another $17,000 off of that 30. So you might be 7 years in before you get your second one at 24 years old. And what are you doing? You're just renting your property out to somebody that can afford the down payment also, probably. It's probably why they're renting. And you're using them to pay off your mortgage. And somehow you think there's going to be excess cash flow that's going to allow you to, within the next 4 years, ramp up your house ownership to 10. But then on top of that, you're telling me on top of that, not only have you finally acquired the down payments for 10, you're telling me you're going to own them. He says own them. You've paid off a 30-year mortgage in like 6 years because apparently you're charging that much more than the baseline for your tenant. Like, where do these boomers come from? And why are they all so detached? Why are they so detached? Listen to this guy.
You don't buy another piece of real estate for the next 25 years. When you're 55, more than likely, all of those properties are going to be paid for. And if, let's just say...
Wait, now they're paid for. Wait a second. You said you own them. You don't own something until you've paid it off. And even then, technically, you don't own it, right? There's an argument to be had for property tax, which is for infinity, right? You never own. You could pay off your house and still lose it to the government if you don't pay your taxes. It's mind-boggling. Okay, let's say so he worded it wrong. Okay, so let's say you don't own them by the time you're 30, but you've acquired 10 down payments worth. And he's saying for 25 years, your tenants are paying them off for you. That's assuming there's no vacancies. You're able to keep a good tenants there, or you can rotate them quickly. You have enough cash flow to be able to sustain any sort of periods of downturns where there's no one there. And, it doesn't matter about the price fluctuating of the house, but if you have a variable mortgage rate, right? So you're paying, right now you're experiencing an increase in rates that you might get screwed on, and then you got to up rent, and then people can't afford it, so they move to different... there's so much that can happen in 25 years, right? Okay, I'm just being negative. Let's say by some magic, just some magic, you start at 18, everything goes perfect, and you acquire 10 properties. How do you know how to manage 10 properties? Where do you get that experience? How do you know how to find tenants? How do you know how to do background checks? How do you know how to check up on them? How do you know the legalities of navigating them? What are the different legislation issues you got to deal with depending on region? I mean, there's so much. It's these boomers are just so detached. Why not? Why stop at 10? Why not have 50? Why don't I have 50 by the time I'm 30? You know, because it's so easy. And the thing, okay, obviously we'll finish this. But what's worse than this is the comments. Most of the comments are wins, right? But there's some L's in there. We're going to look at them.
Say you still have a balance on all 10 because you put them on 30-year notes. You can sell off more than likely 2 or 3 and pay the rest off. So now you're sitting there with 7 homes paid for that you have tenants in and you have cash flow coming in every month. So
the whole house as a commodity thing is like, it's so lame. I don't know why wealth is built on real estate. It really sucks. I feel like that's one of those basic things that you should like be able to have access to and not be priced out into a renter's market where you have no control or no ownership. Like the fact that I'm paying off somebody. Now I've heard these arguments before. They go, oh, well, they're giving you the ability to live somewhere. Therefore they're not living in the house. So you paying it off is fair. It's like a fair exchange. It's like, no, I could be paying off my own mortgage if I was allowed to get into a house without a crazy down payment. I mean, just getting into the home is hard enough. And then you have the interest rates and then HOA fees and property tax. And there's so much. And then you have maintenance on the house. There's so much that goes into, there's so many barriers to entry to getting into a home. Plus they want to see like 3x your income. So imagine you get a house for, I mean, I don't know what the going rate is, but let's say you have a monthly mortgage, right? For $2,000. And then you add an insurance and HOAs and all that. Next thing you know, you're paying $2,400. Okay. We'll round it up to $2,500. For like a basic house, if you can find it even in an area where you can probably going to have to work remotely to make that kind of income and find a house that cheap because you're not working in a local economy, probably making enough to afford even a house like that. You're telling me that you're going to find that, get it done, have the down payment for it, and then you still need to make $7,500 a month take home, or not take home, but just total $7,500 a month. It's almost $100,000 a year for a $2,500 mortgage. That's crazy. That's crazy. And obviously, I'm not a real estate person, so if I'm screwing up the terminology, whatever. But the numbers just, even if I'm off by a little bit, I mean, come on, think about it. It's crazy. It's nuts. But you're paying $2,000 for your apartment. Some people are paying more than that, depending on where you live. So those people can qualify to rent at a certain price, but they can't get qualified for the mortgage to own the property. It's just crazy. And it's boomers. It's a boomer system is what it is. And then you listen to this guy. It's just
think about that. If you literally had 7 rental properties making you $2,000 a month, that's $14,000 a month.
That's $14,000 people are throwing down the drain. Now, obviously, as the owner, you have a lot more responsibility. You're handling the property tax. You're handling usually maintenance. Even your tenants, if they have issues, you know, you might have to come out of pocket to fix some stuff up, especially if they move out. You want to touch it up a little bit. You got to do roofing, landscaping, plumbing issues, you know, God forbid some major accident happens. So I get it. There's responsibility that comes with being a landlord. But how many landlords are living up to that? How many landlords are actually really living up to that extra cost? So you're making $14,000 a month off of 7 houses that you basically took off the market from people that could afford to rent from you, but they couldn't afford to own it on a loan from the bank. Probably for the same price. Because in order for you to have a tenant, they would have to pay enough to at the least pay for all of your expenses, which would cover your loan and property taxes. And you probably charge a little more on top so you can have the cash flow to where there's more coming in. Unless, of course, in his example, he's saying you own them outright. Well, you still have property tax and maintenance. So that $14,000 isn't fully yours. And then you owe taxes on it. Unless, of course, you do some weird business structure or whatever. It's just a messed up system. Building wealth off of people's inability to own themselves, I think, is just lame. Just a lame culture. Now, obviously, it's not going to change. It's just the way this, the system is. It's just a crappy idea. I don't like the whole. No, I just don't like it. But the main takeaway is these boomers are so detached. Like his whole premise is you can have 10 houses rented out by the time you're 30. And it's just like, in what world does that make sense financially? In what world do you make that much money? Okay, so let's look at some of the comments, right? This one right here. He says, how am I supposed to buy 10 if I can't afford one? Thank you. Thank you. This guy writes, buy 40 houses by 15. Like I said, why not 100? The tax would barely make it worth it these days. Step 1, be a trust fund baby with zero concerns. I just don't know where financially you can mathematically work it out to where the average income with the average home price, you can acquire 10 homes. I just don't, even with low down payments from annual FHA. Because the thing with the FHA too, that to my understanding is you have to live in it for at least a year. You can't use that to loan on an investment property. So you can't even re-up unless, of course, you somehow come up with a 5% or higher, because I know there's some like conventional loans, I think, where they'll do 5% down, not 20%. Everyone, we're told we need 20% down, but there's a lot of other programs where you don't need 20%. But even at 5. So if you did less than 5 for FHA and then you did 5 for conventional, I mean, where do you save this money while trying to survive yourself? It's just crazy talk. Let's see. Why 30? Why not buy 100 houses before 20? Yeah, seriously. Why not 9 houses at 1 year old? Sure. Is there a Black Friday discount on Amazon for these? Yeah. Step 1, buy 10 properties. Yeah. Let's see what people have to say for that. That's all you have to do. Just go buy 10 houses. These people are so out of touch. That's the point. That's the point, man. Boomers are just so out of touch. Now, obviously, he's like a special boomer. He's a real estate boomer. So, of course, his angle is going to be on probably, you got to do this to get houses. And by the way, here's my course. There's got to be a course, right? Okay, let's look this guy up. What do we got here? This is, he's got a link tree. Okay. Open anyway. Yeah, we're going to open it up. Okay. Landlord forms applications, 15% off. Okay. It's got a service. Contact, TV, Rule, Instagram, Spotify, Podbean, New Orleans real estate. Okay. Maybe no course. Interesting. He just got forms and templates that he sells. Okay. That's actually not as I thought. I could have sworn this guy would have had a course. I know I'm sounding like a bitter Betty, but it was such a stupid video, honestly. Just to be like, just buy 10 houses.
Buy 10 rental.
I don't know. Anyways, just wanted to share that with you. I found this. It just really irked me a bit. So, I don't know. I'll let you know when I find something else to share with you.